Hey everyone, this could be a weird video. Mainly I want to talk about IPCs and why I think they're overpowered and need like a pretty much immediate nerf. And yes, this is entirely inspired by my last video where my antagonist play got screwed over by IPCs being completely bullshit. IPCs are the strongest of pretty much like any species in the game by quite a large margin. Now you're probably wondering, okay, what is the benefits? What's the weaknesses?
Energy.
What's
Low.
the, whatever the hell of an IPC? This one is not waking up. Fuck.
Energy. Low.
Okay, that's a bug due to the fact that this IPC, I removed its battery and it's catatonic, so there's no like
Energy.
player inside
Low.
of it, which annoying, which disadvantage one, which is really just a disadvantage to every other fucking player in the entire lobby. Energy low.
Energy. Low.
Energy low. Energy low. Yeah, IPCs, if one goes SSD and they just sit there, they will eventually run out of battery, and well, everyone else in the lobby has to deal with them saying energy low for the next 20 minutes, or someone finally just decides, fuck the don't interact with SSD people rule, and finally puts the goddamn thing into, cryo. Anyway, let's go over the advantages that IPCs have and the weaknesses that IPCs have. So first, we're going to go over what I believe to be the biggest strength in the entire game. See, this is freeze on. You know anything about freeze on? You step in freeze on. It's, well, first of all, poisonous to you and now makes you high, and I need to rejuvenate myself. One moment. Rejuvenate, there we go. So it's obviously poisonous, but the other thing it is hellishly cold. You're probably seeing where this is going. IPCs have, this is supposed to be a lot colder. Whatever, let's use the cold vacuum of space to display this instead. Whatever. So IPCs are completely immune to cold damage. This, combined with their immunity to space damage, results in them being the objectively strongest combat class in the whole game. See, I step out here, and like we're fighting, whatever, yeah, whoa, bang bang bang, or whatever. The IPC has a natural advantage in every single combat because you would know if any combat involves, I start talking here, if any combat involves space whatsoever, the IPC automatically wins. And most combats involve space. Most combats just through like something exploding, or where's the rejuvenate? There it is. Or something, blowing up, whatever, blowing up, something breaking, like a window or whatever. Most fights involve space. So IPCs have a natural advantage in combat alone. Now you might think, okay, that's not that bad, but consider this. Let's consider space combat for a second here. If you want to do space combat, you need to wear a hard suit as any other species, as every single other species here, vulps, slimes, rats, harpies, plants, fluffs, and webs, you all have to wear a hard suit, like the one I just put on. IPCs do not. And let me go to the spawn menu real quick. Let's compare the captain's, where is it? Let's compare the Captain Armored Spacesuit and the Captain Carapace here. For the, these are both things that you would put on if you want to do combat. The spacesuit you put on if you had to do combat in space. Obviously, it's, got a problem here. The Carapace is a direct upgrade to the hard suit in every way. It doesn't have a speed penalty. It has half damage through most damage types, and yeah, it's not hard to see. The only thing it has is explosion resistance, slightly reduced, but who cares? because you need to realize speed, like if you're not robust, that's fair, don't become robust. But if you're robust, you know speed is the ideal thing. If you are not faster than your opponent, you lose 90% of fights. This is why Diona, before they got their speed reduction reduced to being just normal speed that every species has, that's why they're the strongest combat species. Because of the speed advantage, that's why they're the weakest combat species. This is a ramble. Don't expect intelligent thoughts for this video. This is just something I'm making. So obviously, you move around fast with the thing on, and you move around slower with this on. Shut up, AI. Like, the IPC has a natural advantage for existing because of its space and cold immunity. Now, let's also be proactive here and talk about their first major weakness, because they're not immune to cold, but they are not immune to heat. So if I shove them in here, and first of all, they're immune to radiation damage as well, which is like why. Okay, that's not true. I know why they're immune to spacing damage. They're immune to spacing damage because of the existence of, shove this here, this, do this as well to have that. Oh, space wind, weird. Anyway, this should be. This is because this is on here. One moment, this is a bit jank. I didn't set this up properly. Do this. Where is a welder? Just like a C locker probably. Here, this. Yeah. Yeah, so there you go. The IPC is, nope, Jesus. Rejuvenate myself real quick. Admin, dirt debug. Rejuve. Move this can out of there. So, IPCs do have a weakness involving heat that results in them overheating if they take too much heat damage. Or, well, their temperature becomes too high. Breached interaction rate limits? What the fuck are you talking about? What is this? Hold on, let me how did I trigger that? What the fuck? What do you mean having network issues? Like, I want a local host. What the fuck? Anyway, let me spawn in a, not that. We spawn in a medical PDA here. Where the hell are they? Anima plus. How many fucking stupid things they have? Jesus. Anyway, there we go. So we scan this. Yeah. See that? They didn't take damage for being literally engulfed in fucking flames. The IPC did not take damage from being engulfed entirely in flames. And their temperature obviously rose, which that is a one weakness. They will just go crit and, well, die if they go too hot. And if you try to reboot them, which is how you revive them, because, yeah, another advantage, they can be at literally like fucking like 100 degrees Celsius and be completely fine. So the heat weakness that people like to bring up is, oh no, they have a heat weakness. That's fucking nothing. For reference, 100 degrees, every other species fucking dies at. If I can check my variables here, if I can go serve variables, click compare, oh boy. Okay, I would like to heat myself up to that temperature to display this, but instead, I think I'll just, real quick, just step directly into the fire. And as you can see, I am on fire, and my temperature is now 100. And if we're now to rejuvenate myself, my temperature would not change. Whoops. Do this. Set myself a fire. Fire, 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 blah, blah, blah. Put myself out now. Cool. As you can see, I am at about 80 degrees Celsius, and I'm taking massive, massive heat damage. I am effectively screwed. I need to go to medical with almost immediate effect, even just for those 2 seconds of stepping into a tripwire. Which, now it's back to normal temperature, but an IPC gets to ignore all of that. Like, you need to understand here. The IPC steps into a tripwire and comes out the other end undamaged and just needs to sit in normal temperatures for a bit to be revived. That is ridiculous. That is so comically stupid. Alongside the radiation immunity, which, by the way, the problem of the heat can be solved by simply wearing any fireproof suit. So, for example, CE's suit, I step here, wow, I'm on fire, and I'm taking no damage because this suit is fireproof. Completely fireproof. Let me just scan myself here. I'm completely fine. And this applies to the Atmos hard suits, the Atmos fire suits, the CE's hard suit, obviously. And yeah, IPCs are that one weakness can be mitigated, which is half the problem. All of these advantages are so comically easy to mitigate, or all these disadvantages are so comically easy to mitigate, that there's realistically no fucking point in having these weaknesses. Like, okay, let's go over the main weakness that people like to bring up. Spawn an EMP. So here we have a EMP grenade. Spawn a bunch of them real quick. And these EMPs, obviously, you know, you hit an IPC with one. Let me control Bob real quick. 1 second. Bob, confirm. Cool. Now I'm the IPC. I feel dirty doing this. Ugh. Let me get a spawn entities, micro reactor power cell, full. So, okay, I go in here, I then proceed to, what am I doing to myself? Okay, so I unlock myself. Can I not just shove this in myself? I thought IPCs could. Oh, well, shit. Okay, I guess I have to go back to Peach to do this. So I'm going to do control. There we go. Shove this in the IPC. First of all, it's fine. And now I'm going to, not over here. I need to ignore that. Threw a fucking mess here. Let me go back to the IPC now to display this. See, I EMP myself. Oh no, I go crit. Energy low. I'm done. I'm over. Nope, I got right the fuck back up because the microreactor cell literally just completely removes that disadvantage. The disadvantage of being vulnerable to EMPs no longer matters because you just microreactor out of it. This also applies to the disadvantage, quote, in buddy years there, because seriously, the fact that people call this a disadvantage is fucking comical. Can you stop throwing shit all over the floor over there? Jesus. See, IPCs, they have to go up to, fucking APCs, click on them, and use that to heal or get their energy back, which is considered a disadvantage compared to having to just eat food and drink, liquids and shit. That's not a disadvantage. That's an alternative. And you can do that on APCs that are unpowered, I believe. Let me confirm that because I do not want to spread misinformation about anything here. That's not the idea. This should work. No, it'll just spawn it a thing. Can't spawn another ID card. So, okay, I come here, I toggle the IPC, or the APC. The APC is off. I then drain. It's already empty. What? Oh, let me slot in my... Am I locked? No, okay, fuck it. God damn it. I need to... One moment here. I need to... Debug, control mob, confirm, do... This, take out the microreactor. Come here. Jesus Christ, this is fucking tedious. Come here, control this. And now I no longer have infinite power. Let's go over here. I right click, or drain. I charge my battery. And now you're probably saying, okay, but that's an APC that still has power in it. Let's go with an APC that has no power in it, which I need to set it to have no power. One moment, I need to do some light construction work here. LV or LV cable coil. Do this. Do me. Should we plug into this then? No. There we go. That powered. Okay, cool. So this is now draining. This is now draining, obviously, because duh. And now, as you can see, I have 90% battery over here. This terminal is completely empty. I'm going to drain. Okay, that was something I was wrong about. No, IPCs do have to actually rely on power in order to function. That is my apologies. That was misinformation. I am sorry. I do believe that was bugged at one point, but again, I just believe that. I am not entirely sure. That was incorrect. You do have to use a powered APC in order to regenerate. Cool. And now let's go over healing on IPC. See, healing on IPC is a different process from healing any other character, you know? Just like placing balls of heal, whatever. See, this IPC, I shot him a bunch, and the IPCs, first of all, IPCs do have a heat weakness. Laser weapons are very effective on an IPC. To heal an IPC's burn damage, you have to go up to them and place wires or cables onto them, which you may consider this to be, oh, that's so difficult to do, healing-wise. No, it fucking isn't. That's not difficult. Because wires are pretty much fucking everywhere. Also, weird thing, LV cables and HV cables and MV cables all seem to heal the exact same amount, which makes absolutely no sense, but we're just going to roll with that. Because A, not only is that faster, it is, not only is that A faster, because obviously, and this obviously, like, lets them get back up, which, second of all, they don't need a defib to get the fuck back up. You could just reboot them, which is horseshit. We rejuvenate now. That is just horseshit. Like, just straight up, that is bullshit. The fact that IPCs don't need, like, they need jolts of energy to get them awake, defib them. That's bullshit. That is an advantage IPCs do not need. Anyway, let's shoot them. So IPCs do have one advantage in direct combat. They could just straight up take more bullets. For reference, this person took 110 piercing damage. This guy took, with far fewer bullets, the exact same amount. Yeah. And just in case that wasn't clear enough, let me spot in another Aristwick IPC real quick. And we're going to see how long it takes him with the same gun to get to 110. Shoot him twice. He takes 38 piercing damage. That's a good amount. This moth? 19. Which is actually the exact same. Never mind. My apologies. That was misinformation again. I am dumb. However, there's one distinct advantage IPCs have over their other species. They don't take bleed damage. Like this moth is going to die very slowly over the next bit because they're bleeding. Because bullets, slashes, even blunt, but not to the same extent, causes bleeding damage. Bleeding damage results in a lot of death from even slight wounds. Like, you get stabbed a couple times, you have to go to medical. IPCs do not have this disadvantage because they just don't bleed. They don't have a bloodstream, which is bullshit. You're telling me that IPCs don't have coolant? Or anything like that? Hello? That's bullshit. That feels like complete bullshit to me. So how do you heal an IPC that has been, damaged to shit, beaten to shit, stabbed to shit, whatever? How do you heal an IPC that does that? Well, you take a welder. God damn it. You take a welder to the IPC. That's it. Spawn in a welding thing. Because the way you heal an IPC is you just click on them with a welder. And it heals them. And an IPC can do this to themselves. This means that all you need to heal yourself as an IPC is a welding mask and welding fuel, which at one point, it does take a fair bit to actually heal an IPC back to full health for even just a bit of damage like that. But there's one problem. You might be thinking, okay, well, medical has nothing to do with IPCs here. And IPCs obviously need, the medical departments to direct them to NG or Psi or something, whatever. So if you're not aware, first of all, limb targeting is a thing on Funky and I believe Goob. I believe there's a Goob code thing. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. And, I diffed out a bunch of slash damage to the head of Eric Mist Positronic here. Where the hell is... What? I'll just spawn one in. I'll just spawn one in one moment here. Surgery. Need a surgery duffel bag. Need a table. Where the hell are the surgical tables here? Operating table. There we go. Now, you're probably wondering what the fuck I'm doing here. First of all, I'm doing surgery on this IPC. You might be thinking, that doesn't make fucking sense. Why would you do surgery on an IPC? Well, because with surgery, medical can still heal IPCs. It's not even a case of, oh, I ran out of wires. Oh, I ran out of fucking, or oh, I ran out of wires. Oh, I ran out of, welding fuel or whatever. Medical can still heal them. As you can see, even despite me being a guy that is with the wrong gloves on and no mask, which is normally required for surgery because otherwise you deal poison damage to them, IPCs are immune to poison damage. The IPCs can be healed for free by medical with no poison issues. Hell, you can repair them in mains if you have an operating table. And because IPCs are also immune to blood loss, surgery is also free. And here is something that is an incredible amount of horseshit as well. I am going to cut off this IPC's head. You might be wondering what the hell I'm doing this. You see, normally, a species would have their, brain in their head. Well, IPC's heads are exclusively a container for their eyes and nothing else. Because if I go here and I go Control Bob, then I rejuvenate. Obviously, I get them back up after you cut their damn head off. And then I go to debug, Control Bob. Actually, no. Okay, cool. Turns out, no. IPCs do not need their head to exist. At all. I don't have a head. And I'm walking around with my eyes fully working. That might be a problem relating to the rejuvenation thing because it restores sight or something. But I do believe that this is an IPC walking around without a head, fully, completely functional, with no eyes equipped at all. Okay, so I'm still affected by the blindness, which this feels wrong. Okay. And I believe I've gone over most of their advantages that they have compared to every other species. And it's time to talk about, every other species and Why this is a problem, which, first of all, if you don't think IPCs being better is a problem, there's nothing I can do to convince you. That's just the reality of the situation. There's nothing I can do to convince you that this species being better than every other species here is a problem. I don't have a way to convince you. If you think I'm complaining that IPCs are better in combat, that is a thing that I believe should be 100% addressed, because IPCs being directly better in combat results in intense power gaming. Trust me, I know people have played Lizard exclusively to power game with IPs with the character with the Lizard class, even though lizards are barely better than humans, which better than humans is a weird thing to say, right? Why would you say better than humans instead of better than every other species? Well, human is designed to be the baseline. Human is the basic bitch species. There should be no species that's better or worse. Well, sorry, there should be no species that's directly better than humans, like slimes, for example. A lot of people say slimes are better than humans because they take less blunt damage, and they have an internal storage of a 2x3 that allows them to just store items inside themselves. They also be able to Jarus, but they took that away because of shit code. But you see, slimes have a very direct weakness. They are weak to water. So let's come here. Let's get a. Oh, my mouse wheel's bugging out. What the fuck? That's not great. Okay, now it's working. What the fuck? That was weird. Anyway, let's get a fire extinguisher here. Just plonk one down and spray. As you can see, this is damaging the slime. In fact, this is giving them not heat damage, which they're slowly healing because of just the nature of how reality works. But this is a disadvantage that they have. This can be exploited in a couple different ways. Like, for example, this is a backpack firefighter suit. Whoops. Need to put this on my. I'm running an old version of Funky. They fixed this already, but I don't have that yet. Whoops. Whoops. What is it? Right, if you just click on it, you can kill them rather fast. This also has a couple unique things when dealing with, there we go. Get up you. When dealing with a water tank. See, you can actually one-shot a slime by just popping a water tank directly on them. Like, check this out. Well, not one-shot, but it used to be a one-shot, then they changed it. I still do think slimes should be incredibly vulnerable to water, but still, slimes do have a weakness that is entirely possible to exploit. I wish it was stronger, but they're not directly better than humans. Lizards have an advantage of being able to pull things around with their tail, but they're not directly better than humans because of their extreme cold vulnerability. There's one species that is also a direct upgrade to humans, which is the gingerbread, which they're not here because gingerbread's weaknesses are all bugged. Yeah, gingerbread weaknesses are bugged currently, and until that's fixed, I don't feel like ranking them because they're not broken by design. They're broken because they're broken and bugged and whatever. So, what do we do about this thing? About IPCs? So, couple things. I have a two-solution idea here. One solution, and this solution lets them keep their spacing immunity, although I think that this is probably a bad solution and should not be implemented. I think my second one's better, but just have their HP. Like, just flat out have their HP. Make it so that they die at 50 damage. This would completely negate the sheer advantage that having, say, like, that not having to wear a spacesuit gives them. And it was also hardcore power gaming. People would play IPC because they want to play as a robot, not because IPC is directly stronger. I don't think it's a great solution, but I would like to see it maybe try it if we're not willing to do the second one. The second one's a lot more complicated, so it requires a lot more coding and design work and a lot of work on the creator's end. Here's my solution. So, IPCs are a weird little bag of tricks, and I think being a weird little bag of tricks should be supported. I think their spacing immunity needs to go. They should still take barotrauma damage and the bleeding that comes with that. IPCs need a coolant system so that they bleed just like every other species. So, this coolant system would not apply blood loss damage. They still should be immune to asphyxiation and blood loss damage, as they currently are, because they can't actually take either. So, what do? Have them heat up. If their coolant is below 90, which is the basis for every other species, have them start heating up. And their coolant can recover over time. You might be thinking, okay, but they need a way to replace their coolant. I don't think so. I think just having coolant regenerate over time and have them heat up rapidly over time would be a good solution. Also, have them heat up in space. Like when they're space exposed to taking barotrauma damage from being in space with no pressure, have them heat up because they have nowhere to vent their heat off into. This would make it so that IPCs have to care about losing their coolant, have to care about bleeding, and actually make their medical process the same length that every other species has to go to, where you have to diagnose a specific problem, then fix it, then blah blah blah. It would also help make their disadvantages more apparent. Because the overheat thing is entirely solvable unless you make them generate their own overheating with the coolant system. That does require a lot of coding, and I'm not a game designer. I don't know how to I do not know how to implement that. I do not know how to implement that whatsoever. It's just an idea I have. So, another thing. A couple of their advantages need to be removed or at least modified. See, their radiation immunity is a weird thing that they have, but I don't think it should be removed, but I think it should be a trade-off. And if you ever seen like radioactivity like the elephant's foot or any like video thing with a radioactive object, you would know that the camera gets fucked with. I don't know if the camera gets damaged, but what if we took the idea of vision damage and applied that to the IPC? This would make it so that their optical relays get damaged by them being irradiated. This would make it so they still need to be, dealt with in radiation, but it would make it so that they're not completely screwed if they get hit by radiation. And where is my, what's it called? Exosuit fabricator? Yeah, it's okay, cool. And the exosuit fabricators also do have a thing. Like, they wouldn't be entirely screwed if they get damaged because you can't heal their, things immediately, but it would require them to go to robotics and have them actually repair them, which is a whole thing. Robotics is supposed to maintain the IPCs, but IPCs right now are way too independent from robotics. A roboticist doesn't really have to do anything to keep an IPC going. IPCs should have disadvantages, and that should be one of them. Another thing I would like to do, if we're not willing to curb their combat resistance, if we want to keep, their space immunity, all this shit, whatever, without doing the combat thing, I have a third solution. Just make their limbs take a crap ton more damage. Like, for reference, you saw it earlier. You stab the crap out of a particular body part using this limb targeting thing down here, which I know Goob has this, I know Funky has this, I'm not sure if any other servers have it, whatever. If we just stab them a bunch, keep stabbing. Can you sever already? Jesus. Come on. Okay, fucking, let me get the damn captain sword out. Come on. Why are you severing? There we go. If you sever enough, you will eventually knock off their limbs, which these are sort of bugged models, but whatever. I think making IPCs able to be, damaged with, I think we're going to see their limb health to, 50 would be a good idea. This would make it so that the IPCs having the advantage of their head being, completely immune to being lopped off, would it be that much of a problem? Let me do where's this. Yeah, no patient data, blah blah blah. This would make it so that their brain being sort of their torso wouldn't be an issue, and it would give them a weakness that actually matters quite a bit. Because getting a limb reattached is a pain in the ass. Again, not a direct combat upgrade, but it would make them require robotics. So we have 3 solutions. The first one, just make them shit at combat and call it a day. The laziest, the easiest to implement, because you just reduce their crit value or whatever. Even I could implement that if I felt like it. I'm very lazy. And I don't know what the admins of different servers actually want, but whatever. That doesn't solve any of their issues. It just curbs the power gaming aspect of them and keeps them unique. Solution 2 is to give them spacing damage and to make them heat up with coolant and blood loss. This would bring them much more in line with every other species and reduce their stark advantages by a whole heaping margin. But it wouldn't really give them much interest, because I think IPCs are interesting. I think we should give IPCs more interesting weaknesses, which is what the third solution is. I think the third solution of just making their limbs take a crap ton more damage would be a good solution. It would actually make limb targeting interesting instead of just something you use to lop off someone's head. Anyway, that's it for this video. Sorry, this is a bit of a rant because people said they wanted a rant. There you go, you got a rant. It's not the same as the atmospherics or engineering rants, but it's a rant. This is a ranty video. IPCs are broken, and I do hope they're addressed because I have lost far too many antagonist and non-antagonist plays, like as both security and antag, to an IPC just being a flat, direct upgrade to every other species, and it's very much pissing me off. Call it a skill issue, call it what have you. I don't think there should be a species that is a direct upgrade to every other species of the game. And I know you're going to say Vox. Vox are bad by design. A species being weaker than every other species is completely fine. A species being argumentatively better than another species is also fine. Because if you want to have, a species that's, with advantages that may or may not be better, and may or may not be worse, you need to have a interesting enough downside to make it argumentative. Because is lizard better than human? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not by much. But they're not an objective direct upgrade like IPCs are. IPCs are an objective direct upgrade. Anyway, I'd like to thank my channel members. User Faces, Loltar, Flabbergaster, Some Kitty Cat, North Star, Punch 3, Weapons Order, Film and Timo, and Robinson, Say Through Lapid. Channel member support show, give money support, channel member support show, channel member support show, member channel support. Bye.